Hey, what's up YouTube? Today's video is about to solve one of the largest problems in the aquarium hobby: how to get rid of snails. Now, let's first address how the snails got into your aquarium in the first place. Very often, snails or snail eggs, more likely snail eggs because they can't be seen well, are introduced into a tank on accident when you add plants or fish. Sometimes they're accidentally bagged. This means that if you are buying an aquatic plant or fish, you should avoid pet stores that keep snails in their same tank as the plants. And some pet stores try to get rid of their snails or hide them, but if you see one or two snails, you can pretty darn well know that they're going to be snails later on because they breed like rabbits. Now, this is a preventative measure and is not a solution when you already have snails in your tank, but it does help. Another way to prevent snails is simple. What does every living thing need? Food. And snails are not excluded from this. Many snails thrive when they get excess food on the bottom of the aquarium. You can get rid of any extra food by not overfeeding. I always say it is better to slightly feed less than your fish need than slightly more. Also, when you do not overfeed, less of the food will decompose, which means that there's less nitrate, and algae thrives off of nitrate. So with less overfeeding, there will be less algae, which one makes the tank look better, and two will be even less food for the snails, and less places for the snails to lay babies or lay eggs. So, if feeding less does not get rid of all of your algae, then you could do more routine water changes, which will get rid of the nitrates, hence, and therefore getting rid of the algae. This can reduce the amount of snails in your tank or prevent them from reproducing in the first place. Now that we've established a couple ways to prevent snails, let's talk about how to get rid of them if they are already in your tank, which is why I'm sure most of you clicked on this video in the first place. A very common thing to do to kill snails is to use chemicals, but I'm not going to specify which ones because I'm personally against that. In my opinion, if the chemicals are strong enough to kill snails, there's a chance that they'll harm your fish and plants, and possibly even you, and not worth the risking. Now, other than that, there are two great methods that I'm a fan of to get rid of snails in your aquarium. The first option is to introduce predators to the snails. Many types of loaches, specifically the yo-yo loach, are very well known to eat snails and are a great option if you have a larger tank because they look very cool. Gouramis also, if they are big enough, will also eat snails and are very, very common and relatively cheap in the aquarium hobby. So they should not be overlooked. If space is limited, however, I would recommend assassin snails. Now, this kind of seems counterintuitive, more snails to get rid of snails, but assassin snails actually live off of eating snails. So, they won't harm your plants, they look cooler than normal snails, and they'll eat the snails. However, you have to be careful because they will reproduce a lot as well, just like other snails, if they are not controlled. And also, you need to make sure that the assassin snails have enough food, because if they don't, they'll without a doubt turn cannibalistic and eat each other. But that's nothing too difficult to worry about because just by feeding naturally, you'll tend to overfeed a little bit, or food will go to the bottom, which is why you got snails in the first place, so you don't really need to worry about that. Lastly, but definitely not the least, one of the best ways to get rid of snails is by creating traps. And there are many, many, many different traps that you can find online to easily make or buy that are very effective. But my personal favorite, cheapest, and easiest method is to take a piece of lettuce and just put it in your tank. Over the night, all the snails will cluster on the lettuce, or most of the snails will cluster on the lettuce and start eating it, and you could just take the piece of lettuce out and flush it down the toilet, or throw it out, or throw it outside, whatever you want to do with it. However, you have to be very, very patient for this because you're not going to get every snail the first lettuce piece, and some will fall off the lettuce as you're taking it out. So it may take a couple weeks to get rid of all the snails, and it's not a way to get rid of eggs either. But with that being said, I'm going to put a link in the description of a snail trap that I have used in the past with great success, if you guys wanted to check it out. But with that being said, that will conclude this video. Thanks again for watching, everyone. Really excited that we are over 2,300 subscribers. The support really means more than you guys know, and I really appreciate it. And with that said, if you have not yet subscribed, please do if you enjoyed this video. If not, maybe next time. Thank you.